Now, remember, we said earlier that farmers, they don't receive wages, and they can support themselves by working on their own field. Also, the low productivity farmers will continue to improve his productivity until he reaches the theoretical productivity ceiling, which supports 9 persons per 100 acres of farmland. Right, so that's a setup. Now, after they have reached this level of productivity, they have two choices now. Two choices. Either continue to work as the most productive farmer, or work for someone else to earn wages. But he will not earn wages unless the wage he earns are no less than his farming output equivalent. Okay, so farmers' output can become some kind of benchmark for other work. So this is the concept adopted by both Mencius and Henry George. And Henry George was the famous American political economist in the 19th century. In his work, Social Problems, which was published in 1883, he said, the condition of labor in these first and widest of occupation determines the general condition of labor, just as the level of ocean determines the level of all its arms and bays and seas. Well, the rationale is very simple. We cannot possibly all work as merchants or tailors or mechanics. Otherwise everybody would starve to death, right? So no matter how complex the industrial organization is, there always remains the occupation that resort directly to nature. And these are the fundamental occupations, and all other occupations rest on them. So much the same way that the upper stories of a building rest upon the foundation. Okay, so the rationale of Mencius is similar to that of Henry George. Now, in the time of Mencius, there was no private ownership of land, and every man received free land from the government, and agriculture was the dominant industry. So under this circumstance and this condition, the standard of wages was necessarily equal to the output of the farmer. Now, the scales of wage system of ancient China requires, I think, further explanation. Okay, so let's do that. Now, mathematically speaking, the output from the farmland sets the opportunity cost of leaving the farm and working for somebody else. So every other occupation naturally set the farming output as a benchmark for his wage. Now, let's think about it from a social perspective, okay? The ultimate purpose of working is to serve the people. And this is the idea of work in traditional Chinese culture, okay, and is fused into the calculation of wages. Very interesting. When a person thinks about occupation, the question to ask is, okay, to what extent will my work affect people's well-being? This is an extremely relevant question to ask, especially for occupations that involve important decision-making for the people. And one example, of course, is government official. Now, as we said before, government officials are productive labor, right, according to the principle of substitution. Also, some officers are not only productive, but also in a much higher degree than farmer. And in return, society will give them a reward much higher than ordinary wage. So in theory, the least productive officer must be as productive as the best performing farmer and support the life of 9 persons. Otherwise, he might as well just return to his land and work as a farmer. And if he does return to the land, it's not really a downgrade, but simply to give the opportunity to somebody with more capability to contribute to the society. Okay. So allow me to display the full picture of wage scale system, and this is recorded in the chapter of Wan Zhang of Measures, and also the chapter of Royal Regulation in the Book of Rights. Okay, so you can see that on the left-hand side we have a full list of government officials by ranks. Okay, from the ruler of large state at the top there, and the lowest class scholar at the bottom. Okay, so a descending order in terms of rank. Okay, so large state, medium state, small state, and then officials, and etc. Okay, at the bottom you can see there's a low class scholar and the best performing farmer that they're ranked equally. So now on the right hand side we have the salaries and wages that is represented by the number of persons supported. Okay, remember that is the method of measurement. So you see the little onion at the bottom there. Okay, that little onion at the bottom represents the scales of wages within the farmer community. All right, so that basically replicates this one. Okay, this. Now, where am I? Completely lost it. I'm looking for my little onion over there. Okay, yes. So the lowest class scholar has a theoretical wage level that is needed to support 9 persons. So that's why is the same as the farmer. Now, the middle class scholar is supposed to be more sufficient and contributive through their work. So they receive a wage doubling the wage of the lowest class scholar. As you can see, they support, or they're supposed to support 18 persons. Okay. Now, the 4 categories at the bottom includes all government officials, okay, regardless whether they belong to a small state or a large state. Now, when it comes to the level of chief ministers and rulers, the salaries and wages depend on the size of the state. The larger the state, the more responsibility there is, and therefore the higher the salary. The ruler of the larger state should therefore earn a salary that can, theoretically support 2,880 persons. So again, this idea is that the public officers are laborers who are substitute for the farmers working in the government, and all their salaries and wages are the substitute for tillage. Although their labor is not the same kind and wages are not the same amount, the scale of their wage is nonetheless proportional to the product of the farmer. Now, what about the wages of other occupations other than public offices? Well, the Book of Right doesn't provide a detailed count of wages of other manual workers, such as craftsmen or artisans. But it's not necessary, because they can simply be represented by the farmer class.